Once Bitcoin loses that last support that will obviously trigger the final sell-off on altcoins, that's when I feel like you're going to hear, oh, it's over, doom and gloom, Pacquiao stuff. Yeah, like, go get a Joe McDonald's. That's when we go harder and obviously cash out and then go buy Lambos. So
I don't think that we're cooked. I think one of the big things that have recently been announced is the 2000 dividend from the...
As soon as anyone sees my Instagram, they're like,
oh, so what do I need to do in crypto? Bro, what do you reckon is the next best tokens for me to buy? Bro, I heard your podcast. What have you heard about Coin?
bro, and the advice is always the same. If you can't dedicate 2-3 hours a day to the market, you shouldn't trade.
The content presented in this podcast is intended for informational and educational purposes only. It should not be considered as financial advice, and listeners are encouraged to conduct their own research or consult with a qualified professional before making any investment decisions.
Crypto flip.
So in this week's episode, we'll be discussing whether the crypto market is done. Is it cooked? Is it over? We're about to find out. We'll be discussing what the almost approved XRP ETF will have on XRP pending its approval this Thursday by the Nasdaq. We'll find out what the effects of the $2,000 stimulus checks that Trump is planning to give out to the US population will have on the crypto market. We'll be looking at historical data around November in the crypto market, especially for Bitcoin, and see what that means moving forward. So as ever, make sure you stay locked in. And you're listening to Crypto Flip, where real money meets real talk. We're 3 investors managing a combined 7-figure portfolio built over 2 decades in crypto. We've ridden the bull runs, survived the crashes, and learned expensive lessons so you don't have to. Each episode, we break down our latest moves. This is Crypto Flip. But before we get into some of these stories that we've mentioned, you know what we have to do? We have to speak to the DJs in the space. We have to do some crypto confession. So let's get into it. Someone from where I work ate into 3 coins and ended up turning 4K into 1.2 million.
Jesus!
Go on. He's one of the most arrogant people I know. He believed he was a genius and retired.
Oh, I know where this is going. Sorry.
At age 28. Yeah. Barely a year later, and he has a job in a warehouse. He clearly wrecked himself. A part of me finds it hysterical, but truth be told, it's probably because I wish I was that lucky. What do you man make of that?
Bruv, you shouldn't feel bad. And I get you might feel a little bit jealous. But if that was you, would you have gone through the same process? It sounds like you are upset that you didn't make 1.5 mil and then wreck yourself in like record time afterwards. And yeah, man, at the end of the day, bro, 4 grand into some meme coins. Yeah, that's a big win. I'm not gonna lie. I'd be lying if I told you I didn't want 1.2 mil from 4 grand. So yeah, good on him. But if he couldn't hold the peas, what's the point? I bet he's just got some memories on his phones, some things in his wardrobe. I bet he bought bare designer clothes. Now it's worth a fraction of the cost. Hold tight.
Listen, call it what it is, fam. This guy is straight up hating, fam. Like, cool. I hear it. The other guy that obviously aped into shitcoin and obviously quit his job, he's a dumbass. Like, let's just be real. Like, people like him are common in this space. Like, he's not a unique story. But you are out here pocket watching, basically saying you wish it was you. How about you get active and actually get in the trenches like us, fam? Like, you know what I mean? Get in the trenches, make your moves, then you don't have to worry about pocket watching. So there's a 2 sides to this confession, obviously. I feel like there's a guy that's obviously got wrecked, like literally got wrecked, got lucky and literally got wrecked within several months. I don't know if it's several weeks, but it looks like several months. And then you have these other done that just basically pocket watching, wishing like, haha, you know, I wish it was me. Like, typical. Like, you can't talk if you're not in the arena, fam. If you're not playing the sport, you can't talk about the sport. Sorry, fam. So that's how I feel.
How can you write a confession that's not even about yourself? What are you confessing? You're confessing. It's an observation.
You're snitching. You're snitching, fam. Basically, no, you're snitching. You're also, fam.
Also, good point. Also, how
That
did
is like-
he actually made 1.2 mil? Like, did he see the wallet? Like,
You know,
sounds like speculation, bro.
literally.
Maybe it's speculation. Maybe the guy just had a big mouth. I don't know. But at the end of the day, for you to think, you know what? Yeah, I know this guy, and I just saw a man at warehouse. So we just
You're
going to.
You're
You must be the biggest hater for that guy to be assuming that amount of mindshare that you think, you know what, my life is bad, but this guy is wrecked. At least I'm not in his problems. But you know what it is? That for this guy specifically, $1.2 million from 4K, that's an outstanding return. Kudos to you. In crypto and in life, making money is difficult, but it's not the hardest part. Keeping onto it was the hardest part. What got you to where you are or where you were is not what's going to keep you there. So, yeah, you just need to reevaluate how you deal with that sort of thing, because you shouldn't be losing 1.2 million in a year. It shouldn't happen. You should be putting yourself in a position where you're set for life, man. But let's go on to the next one. Back in 2014, when I was 24, I did some referral marketing for some Bitcoin P2P sales sites and made a good commission and also brought BTC. Near the end of 2015, I had accumulated 167 BTC.
Whoa.
And look at my old... Yeah, it's a lot. I look at my old address occasionally when I want to feel poor. I spend most of them on drugs and trade on local Bitcoins for cash. Made 50 to 60K, but that's the most expensive mistake of my life. What do you man make of that?
Wow. So he made the trade. Sorry, he was working for them. He got paid in Bitcoin. What happened to the Bitcoin? Did he just blast it all on drugs and gambling?
Yeah, he basically traded them for cash and spent it on drugs.
Basically.
Wow.
Basically.
I think at the end of the day, bro, the drugs and, trading on local Bitcoin for cash, and you probably use that cash to buy some drugs. I reckon that's a better use of your crypto than sitting on and having like hundreds of millions right now, to be honest with you, bro. So you took life and what a take. And you lived your life, bro. And to be honest, there's no amount of money that can buy that. So yeah, man, I hear you, bro. But 2015 to 2025, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Some people would have looked back and they would have yeah, I'm not gonna lie. They'd have jumped off something still, because that is a massive L, bro. Let me just do the math still, because 167 Bitcoin.
Do it.
$16.7 million roughly, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, we probably had a couple hundred Faz, and you probably had some probably had a couple $100 worth of drugs. But anyway, nobody knew this was gonna happen. Hold tight, you did what you thought was right. You fucked up.
Yo, listen, what a take, fam. That was literally a crazy take. But I hear what you're trying to say. Like, at the end of the day, live your life. Like, you're better off basically doing what you want with the money you have, rather than going on the treasures and losing it all within, like, for slowly getting rug pulled back. You basically slow rugging yourself. You know what I mean? So, I hear that, but it's a fumble. It's a fumble because you had it. It's not like, oh, I forgot to mine it like I did to my cousin. It's not like, oh, I forgot to buy it like we did sometimes. But the situation where, like, you literally had it in your wallet. All you have to just let it cook. Literally just let it cook. Just like put a cover on the lid and just let it cook, and you did it. So that's why I feel like it's a fumble. And yes, even though you did get something out of it, like you made 60K, most of it on drugs, probably, maybe, hopefully you bought yourself a nice watch. But if you didn't, hey, it's better things in life than looking nice. So yeah, man, I think the real fumble is obviously you fumbled on 17 mil. Like, it's hard to get over that. You know what I mean? Hopefully you're doing better. And then this doesn't sound like it's suicidal, or it's like he just shoulda, coulda, woulda, shoulda happened, but it didn't.
It's hard. I mean, look, he's doing drugs and stuff. That's a separate issue. Dumb, whatever. But in his position, he had something that he didn't know what the value was. It reminds me of, like, the other day I was watching something I already knew, but back in the day, they used to give prisoners lobster because it was viewed as like dirt meat. And obviously now lobster is like luxury. Same thing with Bitcoin. Now, back in the day, people were like, it's just Bitcoin, whatever. And now, obviously, you know what the value of Bitcoin is. But you didn't know. But as you started to see Bitcoin grow, surely something must have clicked in your mind thinking, you know what, let me get back in the game. Let me actually hustle and try and, buy something or do something.
Facts.
There was a long time between when you actually, fumbled this to now. Probably about 10 years. So what happened, bro? You had enough time to get back in the game. Enough cycles, enough bear markets to accumulate. And even if you didn't accumulate Bitcoin, there's altcoins. There's so many different waves. And now you got stories, so it is what it is. But welcome back to the Crypto Flip Podcast. I am your host, Harris King, and I am joined once again with my co-hosts, Ricardo and Deji. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you are listening on audio platforms, don't forget to leave a review because it helps us create new episodes. We have to answer the only question that matters in crypto right now. Is it over? Are we cooked? Is it finished? Is it finito? That's all I want to know. Where are we in the cycle? Is it done? Because normally we expect to blow off top before things come crashing down. We haven't really had that. We've kind of had it edge up a little bit and then retrace, and then we've had a few crashes and then kind of gone sideways. And the market now is at Bitcoin now is about 102, 103. And people are still waiting. Are we ever going to get altcoin season? What do you men make of this?
Honestly, bruv, right now, the market is in a place where I have no idea, bro. Every hypothesis I had that I was waiting or trying to validate, it's all been blown out of the water. And I was chatting to some of my friends on the weekend, and I'm like, yo, bro, what's going on with how you feel about crypto? This guy, reasonably big trader. He's like, yeah, I don't really know. I'm like, okay, fair enough. Not just me then. But then, bro, I was chatting to him, and he's like, apparently what happened on the 10th of October, when we had that flash crash, that one where everyone found out what ADL was, automatic deleveraging, which meant that Hyperliquid closed a bunch of my open shorts. I'd have been, clear right now. Anyway, he said that event happening is a 10 Sigma event. I was like, 10 Sigma event? I had to go away and Google that. Bro, a 10 Sigma event, the likelihood of that happening is 1 in 10 to the power of 23, which is like super small. Yeah, bro. Based on where we were in the market, that was a 10 Sigma event. So, sorry, it's 1 in 1.3 times 10 to the 23. Or it happens about once in every half a septillion year. Bro. So basically, statistically, that event was like, nobody could have predicted that. Like, nobody. Which in my mind clearly means that, yeah, market manipulation is just doing marketing manipulation stuff. Yeah. Right now, do I think the market's done? I think the fact that we haven't seen BTC close below 100 yet, we haven't seen ETH fall off a cliff. Nothing is like, well, from recent all-time high, nothing is like 30% off recent all-time highs. Things are like between 20 and 25. Even hype, bro, sitting around $39. I think all-time high was something like 45, 46, something like that. But yeah, things haven't fallen off a cliff. But I just feel like we need some catalyst. I feel like we've been saying that for a while. But no, I don't feel like the market's done. But the market's so confusing. Not even my bot knows what to trade, bro. My bot's just frozen. Just like, what do I do? So I need to add in some more rules. And the reason why it's frozen is because there's no set clear direction based on information for the last 3 months.
Well, when Binance and Winton will stop liquidating their reserves, maybe we'll actually get some direction. But I think the direction is quite clear. I think I've been consistent on like what I feel like is going to happen. The moment we fail to, like, we had our chances, because especially I only look at BTC, to be honest, because I think the only thing you need to look at in this market to really understand what's happened is Bitcoin. Bitcoin will tell you everything. And the moment we fail to do anything north 126K, we're always gonna have a correction. And I said in every market, as long as the correction that we have is less than 30%, we are good. We're structurally still good. If it's 32%, we're structurally good. So far, this correction that people are crying and got the whole market in fear. Let's measure this real quick. This move has been all in being 20%. So
But hold on. On that 20% though, bro.
From recent all-time high, I'm talking about.
Okay.
Because the only people that got wrecked are people that are buying altcoins because they felt like, it's alt-season, on leverage. Those are the people that get wrecked. If you're holding alt-season, if you're holding altcoins in spot, you're good because you believe
But
we're gonna multiply in when we had that QE phase, because we are gonna have that QE phase. You know what I mean? They're already pumping money back into the economy. So, but go on.
The reason why it's such a big deal in people's eyes is because 20% when, top of the market was 4.2 trillion is the biggest liquidation event that we've ever seen, bruv.
Yeah. This only affected, again,
People,
traders.
bro.
Leverage
Pre-it, because people have been found dead in their Lamborghinis, bro, with the guns right next on their passenger seat. People are killing themselves because of how mad this market's moving. Like, come on, fam.
Yeah,
when does it end?
Well, you know what? Yeah, it ends when people feel like because I'm starting to hear the rumbling. I'm starting to hear it because talking to you is giving me that signal. People are starting to say the cycle's cooked. It's over. X is confused right now. Some people are still holding on. Some people are giving up. Like, literally, the more we see this, that's a sign of reversal. Like, this. You've been in this habit for a long time. When people start saying it's over, that's when we need to relong our bags, like, times two, because we want to find a leg of the bull run. So you already said your analysis. You don't think it's over. I don't think it's over. You know what I mean? I admit this is a blip. You know what I mean? What really scared people is the flash crashes on altcoins. You know what I mean? And it was scary. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it was scary. If I was holding Sui, even in spot, I would just close it and just not. But like I said, I've been in stables and I'm ready to deploy. So I see this. Like, it's time to cook. It's time to cook because all I see is opportunities.
I don't think that we're cooked. I think one of the big things that have recently been announced is the 2000 dividend, as Trump took from the.
I saw that and I thought this is positive news, but I wasn't. Like, I didn't think he didn't make me want to like relong my bags even like harder because what's $2,000 gonna do? Like,
No. You say that, but what happened last time when they gave out stimulus checks in America?
Exactly.
Everything pumped. And people became options trading like experts overnight. Like Rollies like went to the moon. Like, but money was getting splashed.
Circumstances
and crypto benefited as well.
Circumstances are different. One, we're not locked in a house because of pandemic. Two, inflation. You know what I mean? Prices of inflation is still a problem. That's why there's a debate whether there's going to be a rate cut in December or not. There's an actual debate. I think there's an 87% chance there will be a rate cut, but if it's not what we think it is, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if we'll get that below off top I'm looking at.
Think of it this way. I agree with what you're saying, but the difference is, if you give a smart man 2,000, he might invest it or spend it on something wise. If you give like a full 2,000, what's he going to do? He's just going to, especially if it's for free, he's going to splash it on nonsense. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to buy Doge, he's going to go on Pump Fun, he's going to probably go on all these prediction markets, he's going to go wherever to try and multiply it through any means of luck, or he's just going to spend it on foolishness because it's free. He didn't earn it. So And I think we've seen that in some previous confessions as well, funnily enough. So yeah, I think that it's going to have a bigger effect than more people are anticipating, based on what's happened historically.
I feel like when people start saying it's over, that's when it's the best time to kind of do a pivot and actually go harder. So I think, you know what I mean, I'm starting to hear that rumbling, starting to hear it, but it's not loud enough to be like, oh, we're all hearing it. But after talking to you guys, it's starting to dredge up again. And I feel like we need one. I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin comes down to 89K, honestly. It's trending that way. We've already tested that 100K support. We broke it. We haven't closed underneath it, but you know, the month is still, we got 17 days left in the month. On a weekly, like, we got 3 days to close. So let's see what happens. Like, that 97K support looks weak. It looks weak.
So on the subject of, you know, November closes, if you look at November as a month historically throughout Bitcoin, it's one of the strongest months in the calendar. So it could obviously bode well, but this market has been different from any other cycle that we've seen before. So if it does go well, then that could, you know, push us forward. But there's also something else to consider. The last peak for Bitcoin in the last market cycle was $3 trillion. The peak this cycle has been $3.6 trillion, which means peak to peak, we've only gained $600 billion in fresh capital. So that means...
Wait. Hold on.
Go on.
Is that just for Bitcoin?
I think it's everything, bro. Everything.
Nah, because total crossed 4 trillion, sorry.
So
maybe that's a current peak then, like local time.
Yeah, I reckon. Yeah, we went up to 4.2.
Okay, 4.2
maximum current market cap.
Okay,
3.6 for Bitcoin, probably. I don't know.
So that's
what was the last peak? Last peak was 3 trillion. So we've gained 1 trillion over the last. Yeah, that sounds bad. Sounds good. That's good growth. I think we have another $500 billion at least, if not 2.
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad, but obviously growth is slowing, and the amount of tokens is growing exponentially beyond that. So
diminishing returns.
Yeah, we're going to see that.
Exactly, diminishing returns. So with the diminishing returns, what is the best approach? Is it now better to take more of an index approach where you invest in the basket based on, you know, whatever's trending at that time? You just play it as a trader. What do you think is the best way to move forward with all this information?
Bro, everybody asks. As soon as anyone sees my Instagram, they're like,
oh, so what do I need to do in crypto? Bro, what do you reckon is the next best tokens for me to buy? Bro, I heard your podcast. What have you heard about Altcoin?
Bro, and the advice is always the same. If you are not on the market 24/7, there is no point. And maybe not 24/7. If you can't dedicate 2-3 hours a day to the market, you shouldn't trade, bro. You shouldn't be like, I'm gonna go trade with leverage. You should just be like, I'm going to go and buy Bitcoin. Choose one of your top 5 that you like, because at the end of the day, they probably all trend upwards. Because we take the mick out of things like XRP, but they're still here, bro, and the value has increased dramatically. Obviously, they're still not at their previous all-time high, but the value has increased dramatically. So choose one of your top 5. Bitcoin is the best option, obviously, and just buy it and just hold on to it, because, yeah, and just keep buying it. Like, there is obviously greater ways of dollar cost averaging. You can do it during specific times. You can wait for crazy events, like, you know, when Bitcoin drops down to 91 from 120. You could do all of that, but if you're not on the market, you're just not gonna know. So just go and buy Bitcoin, buy ETH, and just ride it for like, just keep buying it. If you want to be one step better and you want to make it a little bit more advanced, then you should go and find some key levels on Bitcoin and Ethereum and set some alerts. And those alerts will fire from whatever app, bro. Whatever app you use, Coinbase, Binance, TradingView. You just get a notification to say, hey, Bitcoin has just hit 91, and then you can go away and you can buy. Yeah, and then you can just load up in that way. But for the people that are out there and they're active, these same dons that are on Twitter that say that they're competent traders, that have been getting wrecked constantly over the last few months, like we've all have been. My advice to them, man, is you're just doing too much, bro. You're just doing too much. And that was the advice I had to give myself, like, recently. I think there was a spate of liquidations, like, last week. And I was just like, yo, I just completely didn't expect this. And I'm just like, yeah, man, I'm doing too much, bro. Like, the strategy used to be, you know, get in, hold the token until hold the token for a while, it grows in value. And then, you know, we've been talking about how sentiment has shifted quite a lot. And now people are like, I'm going to buy a token, then I'm going to trade in and out of this token. And now I feel like there's a slight market shift again, where it's like, unless you have some news or some edge, you're just, nothing you do is going to work. And I don't know if I'm the only one that feels like that, but yeah. So for the lame public that's saying, should I get into crypto? Yeah, bro, go buy something and just hold it. And when I say something, I mean Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, BNB, and just hold it.
I think sometimes I feel like this is when it's the hardest to remain convicted in this space. Like, the market will test you. And I've always said this quote, and I will keep saying it until the cars come home. Like, the market will remain irrational until you become insolvent, because eventually you just get tested. And if you're a person that's overtrading or using too much high leverage, like, eventually, like, let me tell you how bad it is. Yeah, I knew there was gonna be a capitulation event, and to be honest, I've been very impressed with the strength of Bitcoin, even though during this sell-off by the whales and the Binance, and you know what I mean, because of whatever news, whatever is tariff spook, or just them hedging against the offsetting of the what's called Fed balance sheet, whatever it is. I think it's more of a combination of everything as well. But I feel like that has catalyzed these altcoins to really, really drop. And and I've always said, it's like, to answer your question, the best way to hedge against diminishing returns is to actually hold Bitcoin. I know that sounds counterintuitive. Like, well, should I just diversify out into other things? Yes, you can do that as well. But if you talk about how do you hedge against diminishing returns, because diminishing returns really hits altcoins harder than it hits Bitcoin, because peak to peak, Bitcoin will keep performing no matter how much it sells off. But altcoins, I mean, dude, check the charts for TIA, one of the top L1s from last year. It's literally on the floor. Drop. It might not even make a comeback. Axie Infinity, literally on live support. I can go on and on and on about some of these tokens, because they have been really, really wrecked, and for obvious reasons. And people obviously just that. I think what I'm hearing and what I also believe is, I think this is the final rotation. The rotation from altcoins back into Bitcoin. Once Bitcoin loses that last support that will obviously trigger the final sell-off in altcoins, that's when I feel like you're going to hear, oh, it's over, doom and gloom, pack out stuff. Yeah, like, go get a Joe McDonald's. That's when we go harder and obviously cash out and then go buy Lambo. So that's what I think we need to do still.
Yeah, I think Deji made a great point, which I was also going to make, which is, I think we're at a point in the cycle, I don't think we're fully there yet, but I think we're getting closer to whereby the diminishing returns will be so bad because there's too many coins and it's too easy to create coins, that people will just start scratching their heads and be like, it's not worth putting money in this ICO or in this new token or whatever. And just be like, if I am going to invest in crypto at all, then I'm just going to do it in Bitcoin. Yeah, I might not be getting 300% in a week, but you can't get that really anywhere else anyway, unless you're lucky. And it's becoming harder and harder to do that type of thing. So yeah, I think people will begin to rotate more towards, Bitcoin, and yeah, maybe the Bitcoin maxis were right all along. But someone else who might have been right all along is the XRP army, because XRP's ETF is due to be approved this Thursday pending NASDAQ approval. The question is, what effect do you think it's going to have on the XRP token price? And do you think it's going to be positive for the XRP ecosystem overall?
Nah, man. I just don't see it. I just don't see it having any positive, real net impact on the market as it is right now. Just like how Solana ETF didn't really make a positive impact. Just like how realistically the Ethereum ETF didn't send Ethereum to the moon. The only real ETF that actually made a difference, that actually got some real institutions in the market, was Bitcoin.
The most important one.
We've seen exactly, and we've seen how that has affected the market. It increased the floor price of Bitcoin, but also it's just added this layer of like what
Complexity.
What the hell? Yeah, extra complexity in understanding the product. So yeah, I just don't think it's gonna make a big difference to XRP. Bro, you had XRPs online, XRP maxis online that are like, yeah, as soon as the ETF gets approved, XRP is gonna go to $100 per coin. Shut up, bro.
That's nonsense.
Some people are idiots.
I didn't even know XRP was getting an ETF, but like you eloquently stated before, it won't do a damn thing. Like, this news is so, I don't want to say irrelevant. It's nothing compared to the fact that I think XRP recently raised, I think they raised a significant amount of money. Like, I think it was around 5 billion or something. You know what I mean? That's huge. Than the ETF. Like, yeah, they raised 40 billion valuation. They get a 40 billion valuation out of $500 million funded. So they raised 500 mil out of 40 billion valuation. Let's look at the market cap for XRP token is 150 billion. So that's more significant. You know what I mean? Fully diluted, it's only 3-1. But hey, that's nothing. But that's more important than, I think, the whole ETF thing. Because I feel like I still haven't seen all these promises. And also, this is pending approval. This is not guaranteed yet. But I just haven't seen a lot of promises some of these chains have made. And again, if you say, should I invest in XRP to hedge against diminishing returns? I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. But hey, what do I know? I'm not XRP army. But the only thing I have more confidence in Ethereum than I do in XRP. You know what I mean? And I think they love XRP being only $2.48. And then you look at ETH is like monumentally more like expensive than XRP. I think that's one of the way they keep growing it on. Because I feel like each cycle, the XRP army keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Like, you know what I mean? Obviously, people that forgot to offload their bags, the kind of next cycle, they're forced to be in the XRP army. But yeah, will be interesting to see what happens in the following cycle.
I don't think it will positively impact the price, which is obviously what most people are hoping that it will do. I think it will help to legitimize it a little bit more. But yeah, to be honest, until Rick mentioned the Solana ETF, I completely forgot that Solana even had an ETF. The only ones that you really pay attention to are Bitcoin and a little bit of Ethereum. But yeah, I don't think it's going to do anything significant. And if you're an XRP army member, unfortunately, that's the truth. And something else that's the truth is Coinbase, who is launching an ICO platform. Coinbase is launching a platform for digital token offerings, and Monad is the first project that it will sell on it. But it's doing a couple of things different. So one of the things that Coinbase has said publicly is that they've been studying the space of token offerings and they've wanted to improve upon what's already out there. And one of the ways in which they have decided to improve upon those things is that if you decide to dump early, if you get paper hands, if you want to G early, you will be penalized in further token offerings. Because obviously they have your wallet, I presume they'll have your ID. So if you want to get into the next token offering, they won't let you in, which I think is a pretty good idea, actually. I think you're mandated or encouraged, however you want to put it, to hold for at least 30 days or so, something like that. So that could potentially stabilize things. And if it does, take off, then maybe this is the new way to do ICOs. What do you guys think?
I like it. I like it. I like it.
Bruv. So, bruv. The reason why things like Pump Fun and whatever XRP's meme coin generation rubbish was, and what was it, Sun.pump, that Tron one, the reason why they were so popular, bro, and Hyperliquid, definitely Hyperliquid, Asta, the reason why these things are so popular is because you do not have to KYC, bro. They are KYC free platforms. And that's why there was so much volume going into all of these tokens and so much love for all of these projects and the crazy ish that was going on. The second you have people saying, I need to actually go behind and expose who I am before I buy a token, you're going to see volume fall through the floor. So I do not expect any of Coinbase's tokens that they launch to do anything similar to what the craziest tokens have done on any of the decentralized networks. That's a clear number one for me. Number two, bruv, the spiel you just read, Harris, gives the impression that, you know, they've analyzed tokenomics for 5 years, 6 years, and then they've come up with a solution that makes sure that you don't get robbed and it's super safe. Nah, bruv, they just want money. They have looked at the market and they have seen that token generation platforms have been killing it since last year when Pump.fun has raised like billions out of thin air. They haven't raised, sorry. They've got revenue close to billions out of thin air. And they're like, yeah, we want a piece of that. And we need to increase our shareholder value. So we'll go down this path. And now they're just going down this path. I don't know, man. I doubt this will do crazy numbers like anything else we've seen. But at the end of the day, are people going to trust it and are people going to use it? Probably, but I just don't think that's going to be good enough.
The reason why I like it is, one, it's to help you. You know what I mean? I think obviously first it helps with like the Coinbase is the one doing it. I think Coinbase is generally one of the top 2 best exchanges in the world for crypto. And even for some of these big hedge funds, they're the custodian for their stuff. So like they carries a bit of weight. And if you're being ICO'd on a platform, that's good. And to implement this in the protocol level to make sure that, you know what I mean, you're penalizing future ICOs that you can't participate in if you cheat too early 30 days. I think that's fair. I think if it will be more suspicious if it was like you're forced to hold for a year. I feel like, you know what I mean, that's a bit too harsh in my opinion. But 30 days, if you can't hold your thing for 30 days, you shouldn't be in this space. I'm sorry, fam. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you hold stocks for years, you're meant to be holding anyway. Like, you know what I mean? Overtrading is what got you here. Trying to make quick bucks what got you here. Now that you're trying to obviously rebuild your portfolio. So I like it. Obviously, like I told you, man, before, I used to be pro ICO, but I learned my lesson. Like, this ICO game is rigged. You know what I mean? It's more for the big players, the people that buy early, the family offices that have money to kind of put in. And then I think the best way to just wait for the token to be debuted on the market, buy it, trade it, hold it, wherever. I think that's probably the best way for individual sole traders. But this is good. I think this is. But the thing is, like, you think this, like, in the previous cycle, things like this being announced will just make the altcoins run. Like, before now, it doesn't even do that anymore. Like, it's just another news, another drop in the bucket. So, yeah, I'm just waiting for, just patiently trying to scale back in the market, wait for QE, because, man, the market has been, it's like I said, you might know this, this cycle has been tough. This cycle has been, it hasn't been with like, we're printed on $200 extra market cap, but it hasn't been easy, especially if you're a leverage trader. Like, you know what I mean? Spot, you're happy, but hey, if you're a leverage, the liquidations you've gone through, the pain, I feel your pain, brother. Trust me.
Yeah, you know what? I think if this goes well, this could be the major rotation back to utility that everybody's been waiting for. If this goes well. Now, just to touch on what Rick was saying earlier, the reason why Pump Fun and all these things are doing well, yes, is partially because, you know, you don't have to expose yourself and whatnot. I'm not sure about the ID side of things, but definitely by the wallet is obviously one way they can identify you and ban you. But I mean, if they wanted to go a layer deep, they can obviously use your ID, and obviously they have your account details because you'll be using the Coinbase platform. When it comes to this, I hope it works, because if it does, then other platforms will implement similar things like Binance and maybe other like independent platforms. But if it does work and we see a rotation back into value investing, I think that'll only be positive for the space. And we can start to move away from, all of these printed. I mean, the barrier to entry is gone down, and it's obviously not going to go back up. So that will never go away. But I think when people move away from things which don't make sense anymore, for example, you don't see that many people invest in NFTs anymore and things like that. Then if investing in value and investing in tokens that actually create value in the space, it will only be net positive, because it's a bit less speculative, and it'll encourage people to hold whether they want to or not. And also, I think it will attract a different type of investor to the space, or it will just force people to change their behaviors. And maybe some of the people who are just here for a quick buck and just want to sort of effectively gamble will just leave. And I think that'll be a net positive for everybody. Yeah, with that being said, we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.